and thanks for staying on LN 24/7. This is Politics Now. My name is Morno Balagbobo. We'll begin with news that hit the political airwaves today, talking about the Supreme Court dismissing Fubara's appeal. For challenging, Mewele's led assembly. So, a five-man panel of the Supreme Court, led by Justice Uwani Abba Aji, dismissed the appeal filed by Governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, challenging the leadership of the Rivers State House of Assembly led by Martin Amewele. Justice Uwani Abba Aji, while dismissing the appeal, awarded the cost of 2 million naira against the governor payable to the Rivers State House of Assembly as the first respondent and Martin Amewele as the second respondent. The dismissal of the appeal by Fubara was hinged on the withdrawal of the suit by his counsel, Yusuf Ali. The Rivers Assembly has been embroiled in a protracted crisis since 2023, when over 25 lawmakers loyal to former Governor Nyesom Wike dumped the People's Democratic Party for the ruling All Progressives. The leadership of the House by Amewele was then contested by lawmakers in a rival group led by Victor Okojumbo, known to be loyal to Governor Fubara. Fubara has since transacted business of the state with the Okojumbo group, while he ignored the Amewele faction, and last October, the Court of Appeal in Abuja affirmed the judgment of the Federal High Court, which set aside the 800 billion naira 2024 budget passed by Amewele's rival group. The appellate court had dismissed the appeal filed by Fubara on grounds that it lacked merit. The court had nullified the 2024 Rivers budget passed by pro-Fubara lawmakers and set aside the presentation and passage of the Rivers State 2024 budget. Now, our surrogates to Fubara have been saying this is not a dismissal because Fubara's legal counsel withdrew the suit, hence leading the court to dismiss the appeal that was filed against Amewele-led Assembly of Rivers State. We'll be following developments regarding this story, but our focus today on the show will be still in Rivers State, but this time around talking about oil exploration in Ogoniland, matters arising. We just have two talking points. First, we'll talk about the proposed resumption of oil exploration in that community, and also resolving demand/compensation for Ogoni people. Joining us on the show today is someone who is nationally known when it comes to the issue of Ogoniland activism that has to do with Celestine Okpobari, who is a human environmental rights campaigner. And Elder Okpobari Celestine is a champion of human rights and the environment with a remarkable track record spanning over 2 decades. He serves as the national coordinator of the Ogoni Solidarity Forum, and he has dedicated himself to extensive endeavors within the Niger Delta region. Also today on the show, our focus will shift from Ogoniland to politics of 2027, looking at the fate of opposition amidst internal crisis. We'll talk about first the resolving tussle over secretary position in PDP, which is still lingering after that meeting of the BOT, reinstating their commitment to go with Okoye as the national secretary. And also more to do about NNPPC's and of course, Kwankwaso and APC Saregbeshola in Lagos. They had a meeting over the weekend. And today also, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar was seen meeting with Obasanjo. We'll get into all of that matter. And joining us on the show today is John Schweib, who is a PDP chieftain. He'll be joining us virtually also to make sense of what's going on. We'll take a quick breather. We'll be right back. Please do stay with us. Now it goes to our first conversation of the day, going to Ogoniland in Rivers State, which is a kingdom which covers close to 1,000 square kilometers in Rivers State, southern Nigeria. Ogoniland is situated in the Niger Delta region, the third largest mangrove ecosystem in the world. Ogoniland has a population of close to 832,000, according to the 2006 national census. The region is divided administratively into 4 local government areas West, Eleme, Gokana, Kana, and Tai. The Ogoni people are predominantly farmers and fishermen, and we will be focusing our conversation today looking at some of the outcome of the resolution of the Congress of Ogoni people as adopted on the 8th of February 2025 at the Peace and Freedom Center in Bori, Ogoni. Now, at the press conference, rather at the Congress of the Ogoni people, which reports say over 10,000 people from these communities actually attended this particular Congress, and they were briefed by the Ogoni delegation that recently met with His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to resolve some issues. Now, at the Congress, the people appreciated the concern of the president in addressing concerns of the Ogoni people. They recognized the government's swift and positive response to the confidence building requests by the delegation. Now, we've got some infographics from some of the resolutions of that meeting. Now, this has to do with the commitment of the federal government in terms of building confidence with the people to begin the exploration of oil in that community. First is the signing into law of the Federal University of Environmental Technology, a landmark achievement that will contribute to educational and environmental advancement. The second is the fast-tracking of the completion of the critical road project from Eleme Junction to One Junction, which will enhance connectivity and economic development. The next is the implementation of affirmative action in the employment of Ogoni sons and daughters in key federal institutions, ensuring greater inclusion and representation. Also, the intervention in infrastructural development through the inclusion of key Ogoni projects in the current national budget, as well as interventions by the NNPCL, demonstrating the government's commitment to addressing development needs in this community. Now, a lot of people are not really on board with that meeting, citing a lot of concerns. Now, there was also affirmative support for the dialogue process, confidence in the facilitators, and call for unity and support from Ogoni people. Now, do recall that President Bola Tinubu signed into law that bill to establish a federal university. There's been lots of reactions. We'll be getting into all of the reactions with our guest shortly. Now, during the signing at the ceremony at the council chambers of the State House, President Tinubu said the establishment of the university will further empower Ogoni citizens and provide more opportunities for participation and development. But is that all that the people are asking for? I mean, is it a university that they really need to make up for the lives that were lost, in the struggle to ensure that the right things are being done in terms of ensuring that the place is environmentally viable and also commercially viable? We've got visuals of the devastating environmental degradation as a result of oil exploration in that particular community, but we'll get into some of that later. But I want us to have a listen to the soundbite of what the president said, and then we'll go further on in our reporting before we get to our guest.
I have signed into law the bill establishing the Federal University of Environmental Technology. Ogoni has been in the forefront of our development and agitation, and has suffered environmental degradation true enough. To bring knowledge into that environment, in that area, to me, is the most significant thing, as we've heard from the Ministry of Education. It's more than the creation of a university. It is reaffirmation of our unwavering commitment to the people of Ogoni, the Niger Delta, and the entire nation as a whole. For decades, the Ogoni people have been at the forefront of fight for environmental restoration and sustainable development, shaping both national and global conversation on these critical issues. By signing this bill into law, we are taking a decisive step towards addressing historical grievances and creating new opportunities for learning, growth, and prosperity. The university will serve as a center of excellence, equipping young Nigerians with the knowledge and skill to tackle pressing environmental challenges, drive clean energy solutions, and contribute to our national sustainable economic development. Let me, at this juncture, commend the National Assembly. I urge all the stakeholders, traditional institutions, the academic community, private sector, and partners, and all other youths to embrace this university as a beacon of knowledge, unity, and progress. Together, we will ensure that it not only fulfills its mandate, but also stand as a catalyst for transformational development across the country.
Now, do recall that this was after President Tinubu 2 weeks ago met with stakeholders in the region, where you had the likes of Wike and, of course, Fubara, and that was the visit that they had 2 weeks ago. Now, this move is part of efforts by the federal government to increase the nation's oil production to over 2 million barrels per day before the end of 2025. The president is pretty resolute on what he's going to do. Now, let's look at some of the reactions. Ogoni youths last week thanked the president and also Wike Fubara for putting Ogoni first despite political differences. I mean, we were all in that meeting, but do recall, according to reports, we did not see Wike and Fubara actually having any form of conversation. But let's take a listen to this soundbite from Ogoni youths leaders.
The press, you're all welcome. I think today is a significant day for us, the Ogoni people, especially the Ogoni youth stakeholders. On the subject matter, just like the president of our organization has just mentioned, I think it's very important for us to look forward rather than go behind, because I believed with my own knowledge, having been from here, lived here, schooled here, did everything, I do understand the struggle. And I do believe that the Ogoni people have been deprived of greater things that would have come to our place. But now there is an opportunity, and we have to accept it with open mind. First of all, I would like to thank the President, His Excellency, President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for reopening this conversation on the Ogoni affairs, especially in the oil and gas production resumption.
Now, recall in 1993, Ogoniland came into global spotlight as past governments failed to fully address the tension between the demands of the people and the Shell Petroleum Development Company, which is a major player of environmental disaster that has plagued Ogoniland for decades. Now, some other people, these are actually CSOs, came together recently under the coalition of civil society organizations making demands. Now, they made this known in a statement that was signed in Bori, Kana by Georgiana Tenalo, who happens to be the president of the Federation of Ogoni Women Association, and also Fegalo Unsuke, president of MOSOP, Evangelist Baron Caroline Nagbo, and also the executive director of the Ogoni Solidarity Forum South Africa. Now, we've got an infographics. I'll not bore you with a long statement now, but just key points and demands by the CSO. The first one, they want the exoneration of Ken Saro-Wiwa and 8 other Ogoni leaders executed in the 1995 as a condition for the resumption of oil extraction. And also, they talked about establishment of a peace and reconciliation panel to investigate the deaths of the Ogoni 4 to bring healing to their families. They want halt to the consultation process and the reconstitution of the facilitation group to reflect the diversity of the Ogoni community. And also, they talked about the reconstitution of the facilitation group guiding the oil resumption process in Ogoniland, and they wanted to include representatives of women, Ogoni youths, families of the Ogoni Nine, Mosop, and the Ogoni Council of Churches to ensure fairness, equity, and justice. Well, enough talk. Elder Celestine Akpobari, an environmental rights activist, joins us now via video call all the way from Rivers State. Elder Celestine, thank you for being with us on the show.
Thank you, sir.
So quickly, let's start with your reactions, the feelers that you've been getting since the announcement of the federal government, that is President Tinubu, signifying interest to hit his oil exploration targets for the year 2025. What are people saying in your community?
Children who were born in 1995, when Ken Saro-Wiwa was murdered, will be 30 years today. Those who were born in 1993, when the oil company were shut down, will be about 33 years. And those who were born in 1990, when the struggle started, will be about 36 years. So most of them don't know much about our struggle. Most of them don't know much about our struggle. They are the Gen Z generation. They watch video, they want to ride big cars, live in big houses. So all in their head is how to make money. There are too much money from oil. Those people have a different way that they think. Then those of us who were there, who know about our struggle, our thinking is also different. And we are saying that, yes, a lot of things went wrong in the land. Over 2,000 people were killed. Our livelihood have been completely wiped away, destroyed. Our environment gone. Several things have gone wrong. And we want the government to right all these wrongs before you begin to talk about oil. Ken Saro-Wiwa was murdered. We want his exoneration. We want so many things to be done so that we will not be dancing on the grave of our fathers that died. So these are the mixed feelings. There are some greedy politicians who want to even sell their mother for money. They want money from oil by all means. So there are those two sets of people and conflicting thinking in the land. People want justice. You cannot only remember Ogoni when you want to take oil. So now that you want to take oil, you suddenly wake up to remember Ogoni. That is not fair.
I want us to talk about the role of Governor Fubara in the consulting process. We saw that video clip of him and FCT Minister Wike meeting with the president, and then we've seen several videos of reactions of concerned stakeholders in Ogoniland. Did Fubara have any meetings with us, you people?
Well, politically, Rivers State also divided, like you know, between Wike and him. So you cannot carry out a holistic consultation. You can only consult with the Ogoni people that are in his camp. You cannot consult with the Ogoni people that are out there. But I'm not aware that he has carried out any consultation. Well, to say that whether he likes the Ogoni people or he's on the part of the Ogoni people, he has no choice because he is from Opobo. Opobo are the best neighbors to the Ogoni people. And he should ordinarily do that. But his interest in this matter is to raise revenue for Rivers State. He's not in because he wants any good for the Ogoni people. He's in because he wants more money into the coffers of Rivers State from oil production. I think that is why he's in.
Now, let's look at the interventions of this government. We've got a breakdown of the graphics, some of the things the government has done. Our producer will help us with the graphics. I'm very interested to know, from your point of view, do you think that this is a good start from this administration? Because we recall during President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, he had said he was going to go ahead with the project cleanup, which a lot of you are saying that has not really done I mean, there's nothing tangible that has been done. But looking at this is a new administration. Is this a good place to start?
These are what other Nigerians who don't even have oil already enjoy in abundance. So what is the big deal about that? It only shows that you're going to go were cheated. 30 years of oil production. People took oil from our land for 30 years. They have not paid for it. Maybe this is the time they are beginning to pay for the oil stolen from our land for 30 years. But I don't see it as a big deal. Bishop Oyedepo has 2 universities, Landmark and Covenant. So if you sign a federal government university into Ogoni, it's not a big deal. The university is not owned by Ogoni people. If you are beginning to wake up to employ Ogoni people, it's not a big deal. There are other people are already enjoying employment without having oil. So I don't see any big thing there. Talking about the road, that road leads to the refinery and seaports. It is their own trucks that will pass there, not even Ogoni people. Ogoni people are poor. They don't have money to buy cars, so they didn't fly that road. So everything they have done is for themselves. But I'm not happy that you just wake up suddenly now to remember Ogoni because you need oil. If those things were given to us because we are citizens of Nigeria, because we are an indigenous ethnic nationality that has supported the economic growth of this country, no problem. I will dance, I will sing their praises. But because you are doing it because there is an ulterior motive, you want to take oil, then you are not sincere.
Elder Celestine, I want to take you to the meeting that held on the 8th of February, where you were part of that Congress.
I cannot be part of any of those. That is a jamboree. I cannot be part of it. I can't be part of that kind of thing because our land that people went there were not even allowed to speak. And that was why there was a protest toward the end of that Congress. People were not allowed to speak. They just came and carried out something they have written and read to the people. And that was all. Is that a Congress? That's not a Congress.
Now, the reason I'm asking you this question is because, according to reports, over 10,000 persons were there. And if you will put the visuals again for you to see, lots of people were there. I mean, that community, I mean, the population of that community is quite larger than that. But one will want to believe that that is a good representation of the people that will be able to meet and have their concerns being expressed to the federal government. What did you make of all of the gathering and resolutions of that meeting?
Those that went there were there thinking that they will hear from the people. And that's why before the meeting ended, the place was almost empty. Because when you don't allow people to talk, you are merely reading the script you have written. So it does not mean validation. And there is no way 10,000 people would have gathered in that small space. So they lied all the time. So I don't know why they keep lying.
So what do you think President Tinubu should do away from the likes of Fubara and Wike's fronting? We definitely know that Fubara, as governor of the state, is very keen to bring in that oil money. But what about the concerns of the Ogoni people?
Well, President Tinubu used to be a progressive, but not anymore. You can look at his economic policies. You can see how people are suffering in this country. Never in the history of Nigeria people suffer this way. See people trekking and sweating like goats because they cannot afford transportation. People can no longer eat. You can't call that progressive. So all what Tinubu is trying to do is to ramp up oil production. He has said it severally. He's going to ramp up oil production to 2 million barrels, 3 million barrels. And he's trying to get that. Not that he loves the people. The late Professor Klorake said, it is not for the generosity of the baker that we have bread, but for his pocket. So everything Tinubu is doing, he's not doing it because he loves the Ogoni people. If he loves the Ogoni people, he has been in power for a long time. Why didn't he start doing the good things? It's now that they want to take oil that he's beginning to pretend that he's doing some things. He's not. I don't see anything they are doing. And I'm sorry. I know our people. It will be difficult to take that oil because there is blood in the oil. There is blood in it. There is an ongoing struggle. Those issues must be settled. You're going to Bill of Rights, exoneration of Ken Saro-Wiwa, release of the Ken Saro-Wiwa memorial box that the customs of Nigeria confiscated since 2015. It's an hard work. Even after we have secured a valid court judgment from Federal High Court Ikoyi by Justice Aluko, this new custom boss is still holding on to that artwork. There are a lot of things that have gone wrong and that must be right first before you talk about. You cannot just put bandage on the bleeding wound. What they are trying to do is a dance on the graves of those that died. They are trying to cook the dead bodies and eat, because the unit report on Ogoni is a death sentence. The cleanup has just started. It has not gone to any far place. You cannot turn on the tap and mop the floor at the same time. You have to start a cleanup. It will take 30 years to clean. It is just 7 years into it. Now you want to reopen the oil wells again. Who does that?
Well, Elder Celestine, as you know, whether we like it or not, the federal government has jurisdiction to explore that land. So I'm curious to know, what are your own demands? Because from all you've been saying, you're saying because they need oil now, they remember Ogoniland. What are your own demands? Because the government is trying to at least be reasonable by, making some interventions for your people.
That would have been correct in 1958. But this is 2025. The oil in Ogoni belongs to Ogoni people. The gold in Zamfara belongs to Zamfara people. Zamfara people are mining their gold. Plateau people are mining their solid mineral. The oil in Ogoni belongs to Ogoni people. It does not belong to government. Yeah, because in 1958, when our parents don't know anything, you can say that, but not anymore. So what I want them to do is to look at the Ogoni struggle holistically and see a way of settling it. You exonerate Ken Saro-Wiwa that was wrongly executed. He was given a right of 30 days to appeal. 10 days into that, he was executed with other people. You have to look at that. You have to review that trial and send all the military people that occupy Ogoni on trial. We want to see Obi Omai, Dauda Musa Komo, and all those that occupy Ogoni on trial. There were people that were born in their houses, born down. Over 2,000 people were murdered. Okuntoma was boasting on video that he has 221 ways of killing people, that he has applied only 2, and Ogoni is empty already. We need to reopen all those, review those trials. We need to look at the Bill of Rights, the issue of political autonomy. The Ogoni is a majority in Rivers State, but it will surprise you that no Ogoni have been governor. No Ogoni have been deputy. No Ogoni have been speaker. No Ogoni have been chief judge. What kind of conspiracy is that? What kind of thing is that? So those political marginalization issues must be settled. You must see how to grant Ogoni people their own political autonomy by giving them their own states, where an Ogoni will be governor, an Ogoni will be deputy, an Ogoni will be speaker, Ogoni will be chief judge. Ogoni will preside over their own affairs. Ogoni will mine the resources in their land and pay taxes to the government. For God's sake, this is a federation. So we have to look into that. We have to look into what happened the first 3 decades that oil were taken from Ogoni. How much were taken from Ogoni? What are the rent and royalty that should be paid back to the Ogoni people? You have to clean up the whole environment. You have to clean it up. Ogoni is messed up. We can no longer eat and farm. Ogoni people predominantly fishermen and farmers. They can no longer fish. They can no longer farm. You look into all that, clean it up, donate money. This cleanup that you are hearing, government of Nigeria is here to contribute 1 kobo to it. Government need to put money into the cleanup funds to support the cleanup, and government need to think about how to clean up the other part of the Niger Delta that are polluted. Because until you clean up those areas, Ogoni will not be clean. Because Ogoni is not an island. We are connected to Andoni, to Krika, to Boni. So when there are spills in Krika or Boni or Andoni, it will come to Ogoni. No matter how clean you are, clean it is. So this whole thing needs to be looked into. You have to release the Ken Saro-Wiwa Memorial Post, the artwork I talk about, that the custom sees for nothing. What is an artwork that you will seize? Just simply because it was donated in the name of Ken Saro-Wiwa. I mean, so government need to be sincere and settle all these issues before you will talk about oil. Oil should be the last thing you should talk about. It will not work. I'm telling you, I know the pulse. I feel the pulse of our people. It will not work. In our mother, they are not sincere. It will not work until we begin to see sincerity. Tinubu knows about our struggles. Ribadu, that is the chairman of the team, knows about our struggle. They are comrades. So they need to do the right thing. They know what to do.
All right. Now, Elder Celestine, according to a report that I laid my hands on over the weekend, you recently accused the Lagos state government of sponsoring political crisis in your state. Can you expatiate on that allegation?
Ogoni is a river state. River State has been apart with Lagos before now. So what happened? We have seen some actors in the River State crisis that have posted that they got support from Lagos, that Tinubu bought houses for them and do this and do that. What did they do for Tinubu to buy houses for them when the crisis was on them? Something must have led to that. And all the businesses that shut down in River State, all those that closed, all those businesses migrated to Lagos. So when Port Harcourt is boiling, when River State is boiling, it is Lagos that benefits. Common sense will tell you that will continue. We have seen the political crisis that have engulfed River State from Amechi to up till now. We have seen the hand of Lagos in Rivers conflict. When Manu Zabe was scattering the APC, who was sponsoring him? So we have seen the hand of Lagos in crisis in River State. So common sense should tell you that they are interested in what happened in River State, that when it is well with River State, some of those businesses in Lagos will relocate to Port Harcourt, and that will not be for their good.
Now, I said this because as political watchers, we know for a fact that the crisis in Rivers State is majorly stemming from Fubara and Wike's beef. So how is Lagos sponsoring these men who are supposedly governors who should have the interest of their state at heart firstly?
You don't know how Lagos is interested. Lagos is interested. You should know that Lagos is interested in the crisis. As far as River State is not settled, Lagos will continue to boom. We have seaport there that is not working, but the seaport in Lagos is overflooded. It's an economic factor. You should know. You should know what I'm talking about.
Our time is almost fast spent, but before we go, just to wrap up your thoughts, what's the way forward regarding these tensions surrounding Ogoniland? Because I know this is not the last that we're going to have, the last time we'll have this conversation.
Way forward is that the government of Nigeria must realize that there is an ongoing struggle that has not been resolved. That when Nigeria returned to democracy in 1999, two issues were plaguing Nigeria, June 12 and Ogoni issue. June 12 have been settled properly. In fact, in 1999, you have the Olufala, Tunji Briwet. They went to prison to bring Obasanjo. He became president. All the candidates were Yoruba people, not to settle June 12. During the last administration, MKO Abiola was given the highest honor in the land, just to settle that. Nothing has been done to the Ogoni matter. The government must be sincere to approach the Ogoni issues and put a closure to it. They must settle it in all ramifications. Remove oil, put oil to be the last thing, and settle this crisis. Don't say that you are cutting short corners because of oil, because those kind of things does not last. Shortcuts does not last, and it will breed more crisis in the land. There will be more deaths. Unless government is ready to dig mass graves to bury people. I can tell you for free that the bitterness of these years are still with us. Me, I want to see all the military officers that murdered our people on trial for genocide. They committed genocide here. I want to see government put money in the cleanup so that we know that we are doing something so that people can return to their fishing and farming business. Cannot just turn away all those things as if nothing happened. Something happened. That the blood in the oil. The blood in the oil. Settle all those crises before you begin to talk about it.
Our time is fast spent on this segment. Thank you, Elder Celestine Apobiri, for being with us on the show today. We do hope we'll have time to have lengthy conversations about the tension surrounding the re-exploration of oil in Ogoniland. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, dear viewers, we'll take a quick breather. When we come back, we will move the conversation to 2027 politics. To stay with us.
What makes the political system what it is today? What are the recurring issues?
Order.
The tussle for power.
An extremely problematic area.
The tension. The instability of the system. Join Ellen 24/7 as we take you inside the local and international political arena in the world of politics.
Apologize for saying that I was corrupt.
I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
Watch politics now on Ellen 24/7.
Don't miss Politics Now on Ellen 24/7.
Glad to have you back on Politics Now. This time around, we're focusing on 2027 politics. We're looking at the fate of opposition amidst internal crisis. And our talking points would revolve around resolving the tussle over secretary position in PDP and much ado about NNPP's Kwankwaso and APC's Aregbesol's meeting in Lagos. Not to forget recently the meeting between Obasanjo and former Vice President Atiku and Abubakar. Of course, these individuals served in the same administration. Our guest, John Schreiber, is standing by. But before we bring him up on the screen, let's give you just a little update of what's going on, starting from the PDP. Now, the crisis within the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has been further excavated by a dispute over the national secretary position. Now, in 2023, the southeast zone of the party nominated the former national youth leader, Sunday Ude Okoye, to replace Senator Samuel Anyanwu, who was selected as the party's candidate of the Imo State governorship election. Now, this nomination sparked further conflicts within the party, with some factions calling for Anyanwu to step down due to his new political commitments. In response, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, led by Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed, supported the Court of Appeal's decision and urged the National Working Committee to implement the ruling. Meanwhile, Anyanwu, in his petition to the Inspector General of Police recently, and the Supreme Court and the Appeal Court maintained that he was still the rightful PDP National Secretary, describing the endorsement of Ude Okoye by the party's Governors Forum and recently by the board of Trustees of the PDP as an action that would only worsen the crisis and called for their intervention. Of course, Wabara-led board also endorsed Ude Okoye, stating that the decision was made after thorough review of the issues. But why did it take so long? That's the question that we've all been asking. Why didn't they intervene immediately? Now, do recall that the PDP Constitution 2017 as amended shows that Wabara's current meetings lack the necessary quorum. That's what some people are actually saying. Now, Section 32(10)-11 has been reported of the Constitution states that the quorum of the Board of Trustees shall be 2/3 of its members drawn from at least 2/3 of the states in the Federation, and simply majority shall pass any motion. Now, as the crisis within the PDP festers, stakeholders of the party have differed on the legality of the Board of Trustees. And I mean, we're seeing these factions of disagreements here and there. While some members of the party questions the rationale behind the meetings of the board, whose tenure is said to have, been elapsed, others argue that there was nothing wrong for the current board members to hold the forte and control some of the affairs of the party. Now, let's move away from the PDP. That's an update on what's going on there. Let's move to the NNPP. I mean, the NNPP chairman recently was saying that Kwankwaso's faction, is expired. Now, the presidential candidate of the New Nigeria's People's Party in the 2023 election, Rabiu Kwankwaso, and former Minister of Interior Ralph Aregbesola met in Lagos over the weekend to strategize ahead of the 2027 general election. Now, this is just as the national chairman of the NNPP stated that the faction of the party led by Kwankwaso remains expelled from the party. However, details of what the two men discussed at the meeting in Lagos could not be immediately ascertained. The two leaders held a marathon meeting in Lagos where they strategized on the 2027 election, according to sources who were following the meeting. Of course, this development comes days after Omoluabi, Progressives, Aregbesola's political group, left the All Progressive Congress. A spokesperson for the group, Abosede, said members of ostracization from the party, suspension, and the expulsion of leaders without a fair hearing and continuous denigration of structure, which is a point that what was his name again, El Rufai, made during that national convention of democracy, where our former Vice President Atiku Baka was in attendance. If you recall, you've been following the show. We showed some of the sound bites from El Rufai. Now, APC, of course, expelled Aregbesola over alleged anti-party activities. But ahead of 2027 elections, people have been talking about a coalition. Also, today we saw our Vice President Atiku Abubakar and former President Olusegun Obasanjo having meetings. Is this all in a bid to unseat President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Well, let's hear from our guest, John Schweib, who is a PDP chieftain and an investor and a contractor, who joins us via audio. So hopefully we'll be able to hear him clearly to make sense of all that is going on in the world of opposition politics. Again, that seems to be the bane of conversation in politics. Well, we hope you can hear us, Honorable Schweib. Thank you so much for your time on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure always. Thank you very much for the privilege to have me.
So let's start with your thoughts on the resolution of the board accepting Okoye as National Secretary. This is not going down well with some members of your party.
Well, first of all, there is no argument about where to hold a meeting as long as a quorum is formed. And you don't have to be at the National Secretariat to host such meetings. We've had several meetings I've held outside the Secretariat without any cause for alarm. So for me, there's nothing that, violates the Constitution where they meet or where they don't meet. Now, secondly, when it comes to resolution of the board, I think they are just waking up to their own responsibility as a conscience of the party. Because as BOT, it behoves on them to ensure they put everybody in line in that their advisory and statutory role that they have to play. So for them to come to that resolution based on court judgment, you understand that they've just taken the right step, and which every progressive PDP member and even non-PDP member will applaud that at least they've taken the bulls by the horn to say that Honorable Ude should be sworn in, and by the NWC, introduced, and we're looking at between now and maybe next 3 days when they finalize smoothing the edges to become the substantive secretary. Anyanwu being removed, and based on court judgment, a declaratory court judgment for that matter. So it's nothing to argue about. There's nothing wrong with PDP. PDP is moving on, and that is why we have a very strong, statutory bodies and a constitution that guides us in all that we do.
Honorable Schweib, let's talk about the BOT members. Some people within your party are saying that their tenure has elapsed. So why do they have that? What makes them think that they have the legal standing to say that they support Okoye?
For everyone that their time has elapsed or their tenure, if you notice in Delta states, someone has been nominated for it. I think Elder Amuri has been nominated to take that position, and every other vacant position for now, those that were at that meeting were statutorily, meant to be there. So there's no issue until such people are even sworn in. Then you cannot say, okay, why are they not there? But because their tenure has expired, there's no way they could have been at that meeting. So for everyone that's there, or was there, rather, you find out that they ought to have been. So I don't think there should be a confusion about that. People that are raising that dust is just to serve their own purpose. That is not the main cruise of the matter. The main cruise of the matter is to set things right in the party.
Just to take you back to our earlier reporting, the quorum of the Board of Trustees says 2/3 of its members, drawn from at least 2/3 in the Federation, shall pass any motion. Does that not make sense to you?
No. They listen. Those people, those people flying that kite of quorum or no quorum, they are just chasing after shadows. They are trying to catch air. They are trying to make issues out of nothing. That quorum held. The secretary was there. The board chairman was there. Other members were there. We all saw them. So for them to fly that kite, it's just being mischievous and being truthful by half, right? Just to cause confusion. From what we've even gathered, someone is trying to shop for another court injunction through the backyard so that they cannot even be disciplined. So that is what we faced, from these people who are anti-progressive in the PDP. So there shouldn't be an issue. We shouldn't take anything out of it. Everything that was done constitutionally based on the provisions of our constitution. That's section 37.
So I want to ask you, because Anyanwu, it's no public news that he's a friend to FCT Minister Wike. What do you think of this relationship? And do you think this is, some of the ploys has been alleged by the APC to dismantle the PDP and opposition general in Nigerian politics?
Well, for me, number one, we will not take it away that every one of them at that level will have had one contact personally, at one level or the other, or been of help to one another. That you cannot take away from an organization. At least when the beat was going on, everybody was together. They were all together trying to play the game together. But I think they have some form of affinity together. And I cannot place my finger on it that truly he's working with Wike. But from all indicators, you can see that if Wike is playing the Esau hand in our party, which for me, I don't see him being a party man, of course. He's just been everything anti-progressive and broken all form of rules that guide the party when it comes to party affairs. So I see the two of them, and it's not gainsay that, and it's a public knowledge that they are friends. So I don't know to what end or what they are trying to pursue or to ensure that that the kind of game they are playing as it is. But I think that you cannot rule out the fact that the two of them are working together. But whether to bring down their party, I don't know. I can't say categorically because I am not a witness to it. But there are all pointers to the fact that if Wike is anti-PDP and is a close friend to Sam Anyanwu, which I know of, like they are close friends, and then Anyanwu is playing this game of refusing step down, follow what the party is saying that by through the PDP BOT, and of course a statutory body for that matter. I think something has to give. Something is fishy. Something is telling me that he's playing the hand of Esau within this entire scheme.
So what is the fate of opposition political parties in this climate of Nigerian politics?
Well, if you ask me, we are looking at the political outlook when it comes to parties. You see the players and the pedigree of the president, the way he plays his game. He wants to have it all. He wants to have it all and make sure that the position is destroyed. But that is not how democracy thrives. Democracy thrives on the platform of having opposition that will critique you, put you on your toe, ensure you perform well for good governance. But for what is playing out, we can see that he's not ready because you see some opposition being, they are being chased, they are being haunted with one, with one case or the other, just to ensure they are covered. But for me, if you know the pedigree of that man, I will say truthfully that we should provide a form of a coalition. That is my position, a coalition to make sure this man does not come back in 2027. Because for crying out loud, what has he done to make him have a second term? If he's doing this in his first term without people in focus, just thinking about self alone, then what do you think will happen when he's not gunning for anything? Me, opposition can't win by party alone.
Now, I want us to move away, John, from your party. Let's talk about the NNPP. There was this meeting over the weekend with Kwankwaso and Eregbesola, having talks about 2027. So what do you make in terms of opposition strategizing? And there's been talks about coalition. What do you make of this meeting?
Well, for me, Kwankwaso, I don't see him as a quantum when it comes to opposition. That's the truth. Because his leverage is just not beyond Kano State, and as it is, he's going to lose some base. He's going to lose some foothold in Kano, because from what is playing out between himself and the present governor, he's not playing the right game. And the truth is, for me, I see him as a trader when it comes to politics. But meeting with Rauf is under ball game, who also lost out with Tinubu. It's just going to be very interesting, because at the end of the day, they will just have to fall in line, because there's no way they can stand alone. They will just have to fall in line to ensure that Tinubu is booted out of the office. And from that coalition that we're talking about, it will work if actually something like that is going to come up, because definitely some people in APC aren't happy, So you will see some kind of game that will play between next few months. Some games will play out, and then a way forward will be found for the nation, so that somebody like Tinubu will not have his way in 2027, because we've had enough of him already.
Now, given the crisis within the PDP, will your party be in a better position to have coalition talks? Because you also made mention of that. Recently, our Bode judge had said that Atiku and Wike the issues should be resolved, and they should basically hands up. I think that's what it's saying, for the party to have viable chances in the 2027 election, which is not far from now, I must say.
Well, there are gamut of cases when it comes to that case in Rivers State. So that I think there are about 5 judgments we're expecting today. So I don't have this entire story, but I think the Supreme Court owes Nigerians the duty to interpret the law properly. Because you see, Supreme Court cannot be divorced from misjudgment that people have been clamoring about in Nigeria when it comes to judiciary. People said they've defected. So what are they fighting? What is the Supreme Court talking about? How can such people retain their seats in the assembly? So, but I don't have the details of that judgment. I don't have the details, so I cannot categorically say, oh, this is... Yes, I say I cannot categorically have an opinion formed around this until I get the judgment and other cases that precedes that. That's upcoming today again, because we have about 5 cases that should be judged today. So we're looking at, let's study it. I cannot give a true opinion on the judgment for today. But I think if the Supreme Court go otherwise to make sure that Martin and Co. retain their seats, that means judiciary is dead, as far as I'm concerned.
Now, finally, before we go, I'd like to know your thoughts on the way forward for your party, because the secretary position, palaver, permit me to use that word, is just one of the problems in your party.
For way forward, number 1, the constitution of the party must be followed. That is section 47(6). Substantive chairman must, as a matter of urgency, be elected within the zone, and the zone that is not central provide the substantive chairman, and specifically from Benue State, to complete the tenure of Professor Ayu. That is the first step they need to take. Number two, Anyanwu must vacate that position. Number three, the position of disciplinary committee must be looked at holistically and ensure that those that did anti-party or other form of disciplinary issues should be investigated thoroughly, and anyone, no matter how highly played anti-party, or they should be disciplined as such. That way, you begin the healing process. There shouldn't be a sacred cow within this system, within the system any longer. We've had enough of sacred individuals that can be punished. Only the small fries are punished. So if we can do these three, then the party's revival would begin.
Our time is almost up. John Schweib, PDP Chieftain, thank you so much for being with us on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure always.
Our time is fast spent. Thank you for spending this 1 hour with us on the show. I'll see you next time right here on the next edition of Politics Now. Once again, my name is Morno Balagbobo. Many thanks for watching.